Okay, guys, welcome to Social Studies. Um, since today's election day, I thought I'd focus on kind of presidential powers. Remember when we talked about the three branches of government, the executive, which is the president, legislative, which is Congress, and judicials. Each one of those branches has specific powers. And what I'm going to focus on today is one that the president has, and it's called the presidential pardon. So it says a presidential pardon forgives anyone who has been accused or found guilty of committing a federal crime. And the power to grant the pardon belongs exclusively to the president, as stated in Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. It says ordinarily the president's power is limited. The president can negotiate treaties, but only the Senate can approve them. The president can veto a bill, but Congress can override him. President can, you get the point. The president's power to pardon doesn't have many checks, and the Constitution only really states just two limitations. Presidential powers can only forgive federal crimes, and the president can't pardon someone out of impeachment. So, if you committed a state crime, like if you did something in the state of New York and you were found guilty of that, the president can't pardon you from a state crime. But if you have committed a federal crime, the president can pardon you out of any federal crime. And if you've been following, he's pardoned several people in the last couple of years accused of federal crimes. And no matter what, he has the ultimate say in that. So even if someone, theoretically, if someone was up on like federal murder charges or something, the president, even if he was found guilty, the president can still pardon him. And that basically is like an unchecked power. Okay. Does a pardon mean that a person isn't guilty of committing a crime? No, it doesn't. The president could grant a pardon to someone who's been wrongfully convicted, but that's not generally how they're used. Any person convicted of federal crime will still have a criminal record even if they grant a pardon. Pardons usually don't really ease guilt, but legally give back a person's civil liberties like the ability to vote, hold public office, and serve as a juror, among other privileges. Looking for release from prison, usually the president uses a commutation for that. The average person granted a pardon applied for it. And if the person isn't eligible to apply until 5 years after completing any and all sentences, not the president has to wait. He or she can use a pardon to release someone from jail if they choose. So you don't have to, the president pardons you, you don't have to wait 5 years. Certain people after 5 years, they apply for a pardon. Sometimes they're granted, sometimes they're not. But the president can pardon anyone at any time that he wants. So how does the president decide who's worthy of a pardon? There's not an easy or accurate answer to that question. Our founders equipped the president with a pardon power so that he could show mercy when the justice system seemed too hard or even off target. You're probably thinking, well, that's completely subjective, and it is. Pardons are highly controversial tools because ultimately the president decides who to give them to and when. Sometimes the public is happy with the president's choice to grant one, sometimes it isn't. Not every pardon is the same, but history can point to similar patterns for their use. A sentence that seems unfair or too harsh might be cause for pardon. Other times, they're granted to promote healing and restore a sense of peace. Presidents have even used pardon power to show their disagreement for laws they'd like for Congress to work to change. Because there are no direct checks on pardon powers, the president can pretty much use it he or she wishes. Sometimes presidents pardon individuals they have direct or close connections to. The pardons receive a great deal of scrutiny from the public and the media. And that's happened with President Trump. He pardoned, it was Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He was the sheriff in Maricopa County, which is in Arizona, kind of the Phoenix area. And he was sheriff. He was arresting people without any cause. A lot of times they were people of Mexican descent. He made a law that just because driving while you were like Latino or Mexican, he could stop and make sure that you were a legal resident. Well, the Department of Justice said that's illegal, but he went ahead and did it anyways, and he was convicted on federal crimes. And I think it was probably about 2 years ago, President Trump pardoned him. Recently, if you were following, Roger Stone, who's a close friend of President Trump's, was basically charged with like lying to the FBI, intimidating witness, which are both federal crimes. There's a federal trial. He was found guilty on those, and the president went ahead and pardoned him anyways. So that's where it says sometimes they receive great scrutiny. So this says gray space. With what seems like an unlimited kind of power, you might be wondering if the president can pardon anyone, maybe even with him or herself. No president has ever tried because the Constitution doesn't exactly say whether the president can't. Some authorities believe the president self-pardon would be allowed. Others think a self-pardon make a president the ultimate judge on his or own case. Experts believe it would be unlawful and put the president above the law. Until it happens, we likely won't know whether self-pardon is constitutional or not. If it ever happens, the final decision will be one for the courts to decide. So President Trump has, I think, been charged. Well, since he's president, you can't. There's a Department of Justice legal opinion. You can't indict a sitting president. Well, he has been, I think, named in a federal lawsuit as an unindicted co-conspirator. I mean, he, along with his former attorney, Michael Cohen, they broke some laws. So right now, you can't indict him because he's sitting president. But if he leaves office, he's voted out, then he could be charged with that crime. And there's talk about him maybe trying to pardon himself, or maybe even him resigning, and then Mike Pence, the vice president, become the president, and the vice president can pardon Donald Trump for any crimes that he might be charged with. Okay. So it's unverified. So a popular meme about former President Barack Obama's pardons pop up in your timeline. It's news, information, someone's opinion. Nowadays, we're flooded with the sea information. But a lot of the information is unverified, which means no one's checked to see how true it is. If you don't want to be fooled by unverified information, you'll need your mad new skill to help you determine what's what. This isn't the first time you've seen a meme. It's been shared. People have repeated claims and tweets. And all those posts have lots of likes. It's definitely news, right? Well, just like fake diamonds or fake fruit, fake news sounds like and sometimes looks like the real thing, but isn't. Writers of news manufacture interviews, quotes, sources, statistics, videos, and image. They can turn anything you normally expect to find a news article and make it seem real. Anytime we share a post or retweet something we think it's true, we haven't verified for ourselves, we may be spreading fake news too. It sounds grim, but cheer up. Fact-checking websites can help you verify a lot of the information you encounter on social media. So this is kind of what's been going on the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so. A lot of us, when we use Facebook, something pops up in our feed and it's like we think it's a news article, and then maybe we share it, we read it, and we think it's true. But like this was just saying, a lot of times it's not really true. People are able to, manipulate things, make it seem like a real newspaper, a real website when it's really not. So this says, if you tried to validate the info in the meme, you'll find out it isn't true. The facts are twisted. President Obama didn't use all those pardons. He granted commutation. So a commutation is different from a pardon. Commutations reduce a prisoner's sentence. They don't restore civil rights, and they don't have the same sort of legal forgiveness as pardons do. One way to look at commutations is to say the president's way of saying a person has served enough time or the crime doesn't fit the time. Like pardons, commutations are strictly up to the president's discretion. They can be strategic. So this says a fact-checking website can help you verify the information circulating through some memes or posts. It says Snopes.com is a reputable fact-checking site. Disapprove the information of this meme. Reputable fact-checking websites are transparent about the methodology they use to verify information. This means you'll be able to tell where their verified information is coming from. Look for links that trace verified facts back to the original source, government, official websites, and research studies. So just be your own fact checker. You won't always be able to rely on fact checking websites. They have a limited number of staff, but the story you're looking for might not make it on the radar. But you can do your own fact checking. Simply open your web browser. In this case, you'll be looking for the facts and statistics this meme came from. That way you can verify them for yourself. You might try searching something like Obama pardons, Chelsea Manning or Obama, number of pardons issued. Remember, you're looking for trusted sites that can verify or disprove the information coming your way. So this is just, you don't have to do this, but it's just something helpful. If you see something on the internet you're not sure, there's always a way to fact check it. And this just gives you kind of a little guide to how you would fact check something. So it just says, what's the fact checking website you used? What do they reveal about the methodology, and how does the website verify their facts? And then you can find out if it's true or false, because on the internet today, there's a lot of stuff out there that necessarily isn't true. And a lot of us, especially if we're using Facebook or something, we'll click on something, it'll look like a real news story, but it's really not. Sometimes it's just helpful to really verify something just for your own sake before you share something. You want to make sure that it's true. Or maybe you're like, oh, that doesn't really seem right. I want to do a little more research. It seems like a lot of work, and you don't necessarily have to do it all the time. Just something, if you're interested, if you really want to find out that something is true, you can certainly, like that Snopes.com is a fact-checking website. There's all kinds of them. So you can certainly do that. Just sometimes it'll give you a little more, you'll feel better that I read this, I'm not sure, I want to make sure it's true before I send it to someone else or, share it with someone. So that is basically all I have for today. So you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.